Hey everybody, Timmy Gibson here for relationship tip of the week. This is my beautiful wife, Jessica.
Hi.
She's joining us to talk about, so we've been watching a lot of John and Julie Gottman actually, from the Gottman Institute, and they study and do research on relationships. And they talk about this cycle of conflict that couples can get into, and they call it the Four Horsemen
Of the
apocalypse, which is a
It's
great
the death
name.
trap.
Yeah, it's the death trap. And they've talked about if these things are present, especially all of these things are present in your relationship, that it's a bad predictor of how the relationship is. And so the four horsemen of the apocalypse are criticism, defensiveness, contempt, and stonewalling. So criticism, what is criticism?
Criticism is just when you are nagging at different parts of the way your partner is or the way their personality is. It can sound like, oh my gosh, can you please pick up after yourself? Gosh, you leave socks everywhere. Or
You're so messy.
yes, you are always leaving dishes in the sink. Oh my gosh. Or you are so lazy. Can't you just get up and do some housework? Or can't you just pay the bill that I asked you to last week? You are so lazy. Or it's giving them some kind of attribute to their character, personality flaw that you are pointing at and kind of saying, this is not right. That is criticism.
Yeah, and I thought this was interesting. They said that there's no such thing as constructive criticism. And I thought that was kind of fascinating because honestly, up until when I heard that, I would have said, well, if it's constructive. But when you're in a relationship, to constantly just be offering criticism rather than maybe helpful feedback and being honest, I think that's where it can get, because I don't think when you're criticizing, it's not like I'm trying to help you. I think that's kind of where I feel the difference is with criticism and feedback. If you're criticizing someone, that's not really feedback. You're just pointing out where they're missing it, rather than
Offering them a feedback to say, hey, I would really love, it would help me out so much for you to pick up some of your socks. That would be awesome. I'm running out of time, so can you go and take care of that bill? That's more of here instead of me pointing out something about you that is not okay, and that is a way that you're being, that I'm giving an attribute to, whether that's lazy, dumb, irresponsible, childlike, so many different things. So that's criticism.
Sure.
Which brings us to our next one.
Defensive, which is just any time that you would offer criticism to me, or if I offer criticism to you, then I would instantly defend. That's what it is to be defensive, is I defend it. So, you never do the dishes either, or you never vacuum, or you never do this.
I just picked up your socks yesterday. What are you talking about me?
Right,
You.
right. And so when we're talking about feedback, that's something that if you offer me feedback, the way to receive feedback would be to say, hey, I appreciate you sharing that with me. I need to really reflect on that and look within to see how I can do better. In other words, it's geared to help me. But when you just criticize, it instantly does bring up a defense, because you want to defend. No one wants to be the bad guy. No one wants to be wrong. No one wants their imperfections pointed out, right? Most of us, we know our flaws, or should know our flaws. And so that's part of what that being defensive is. It's a little bit of a pushback, and it's a little bit of an insecurity response, or an insecure response to, hey,
to me going like this, you.
yes,
Like, whoa.
well, hey, what about
minute.
you? Yeah, right. And then the third one is contempt, and they said this is the worst one of all. This is the biggest predictor of where the relationship is. And to be honest, I really didn't fully understand exactly what contempt is. I'll explain how I was kind of seeing it, and then Jess had a really good explanation for this. But contempt, to me, it's like if you're being critical, the deep roots where there's this real disdain, that to me feels like contempt. In other words, you can kind of criticize someone, and that's not good, but you can criticize them and it's just kind of a shallow, you're just pointing out a little thing. When you have contempt towards someone, it's deep. It's almost like I'm not just criticizing you, but I am questioning your character and your integrity, like the depth of you. Is that how you see it?
The way I see it is that contempt is when one partner is holding a stance of superiority or I am better than you. So if I said, gosh, I always take care of my laundry, you really need to do it like me. And you really need to, you see how I did this? Hon, come on, look.
Yeah.
You need to do it like I do it. Like, it's this, I am superior. I am better than you. I know more than you. I'm the better driver. Tap, tap on the head. Whatever. Right. That energy of I'm holding the superiority, which when we're having a relationship, maybe one partner takes the lead in certain areas, but that doesn't mean that they're superior. That
Right.
just means that, hey, we are a unit and you go ahead and take the lead in our finances, or you go ahead and take the lead in figuring out the social calendar for us, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that you're superior to me, and that sure doesn't mean that attitude therein is going to be I'm better than you, and
Sure.
I know how to take care of this and this, and
Right.
you just never hit the mark because you just don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So that's that contempt of I hold a superior place than you, and that's why it's so poisonous,
Right.
because it's saying I'm different than you, I'm better than you, we are different, you are below me.
Yeah.
That's no way to honor your partner.
And when you have contempt, there's clearly a lack of admiration. There's no admiration towards your partner, and that's a key element that needs to be present, that you influence me and I influence you, and there's really no way you can have influence over each other if there's not trust and respect and a sense of admiration. If I admire you, then I won't be contemptuous because I admire you.
And I like that you said respect too, because that is the mutual respect of, I look at you and respect your spirit, and your spirit respects me, and so we hold each other in, I love that you say, high regard. That's one of my favorite things.
Okay, and then the last one, I feel like this one's pretty easy, is stonewalling.
Yeah. Which is you just shut down and you don't talk to your partner. They might make a bid for affection, but you're just boom.
It's kind of a turning away. It's and so when people shut down, they might think they're just I'm just going to be quiet. Well, if you tell your partner, hey, listen, I need to take a minute because I'm feeling flustered or I'm feeling upset. I need to take a walk around the block. Well, that wouldn't be stonewalling.
No.
But if we're having this conflict and I just refuse to engage and I just shut down and it's stonewall. I mean, you become a stone, and it's just, I'm not going to engage in this conversation. I'm not going to open up emotionally. Clearly there's a lack of respect there because I'm not willing to turn to each other, or turn towards each other to, hey, let's engage in a conversation in a healthy way to work through this conflict.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and stonewalling can even happen when you are not in conflict. That can be present when your partner just says, hey, I made this delicious dinner tonight. You want to come and check it out? And you're just plugged into whatever you're doing.
Right.
And don't really give them the flow of attention that is important in any kind of relationship.
Yeah. And it's so important that in a relationship that there's a clear engagement, that when they talk about bids, if I'm bidding towards you for affection or bidding, that when you bid towards me or that I bid towards you in a healthy relationship, we then turn to each other. When you say, hey, look at that, look, it's snowing outside. If I'm just like, oh yeah. Rather than, oh yeah, let me finish this text real quick, boom. And then I walk over to the window and look out there with you and be like, oh my gosh, babe, yeah, check that out. That is so cool. Let's go out and make a snowman. And, there's an engagement there. So yeah, I would say even if you're not in conflict, there can be stonewalling involved in the relationship, which is just not a healthy sign. So.
Right. And I like how you said just turning inward. I think just for all these pieces, it can melt the heart so much when you turn toward your partner or meet them for their bid for affection. It can really help kind of dissolve some of those defensiveness. if you're able to do that, and if you're able just to be as vulnerable as you can and as aware of yourself as you can. If you're able to understand, hey, this is how I feel about this, and I really want to bring this up with respect to me and with respect to my partner. I feel like that's going to go such a very long way.
And I think I really love what you said, babe. It's about being open-hearted. Let's just say I do come at you in a critical way. You know, I'm criticizing you. There's in any kind of conversation or any kind of conflict, right? There's two people involved, and so even if I'm in the wrong and I'm being critical as the receiver of the criticism, it's so important that we don't then go into the rest of the horsemen, you know, where you go into being defensive and then contempt and stonewalling. But to even recognize it, and you know, let's say I'm critical of you, and you say, you know, hey, hon, I feel like that's kind of critical. What's really bothering you and what's upsetting you about that? Then that can kind of break the ice and break the cycle, because in a relationship you can get into, maybe some of you are in this cycle where you're in this negative loop where it's just like as soon as your partner opens their mouth, you have a disdain towards them, and this thing, you know, you just have this contempt in your heart towards your partner. And we were talking about this the other night. I said, man, how do you break that cycle? It's so difficult to just like when you're in a good mood, it's sometimes like even a flat tire, like, hey, at least I have a car that has wheels. You know, it's like, it's hard to get you in a bad mood because you're just in such a good mood.
Yes.
So I think when you're in a bad mood, per se, or you're in a bad cycle, someone's got to throw in the towel. Someone's got to be the more mature person, or at least the person that recognizes, gosh, we're in the Four Horsemen of the apocalypse here, and we need to shut this down. Yeah, wave the white flag and say, hey, listen, I'm feeling very criticized. I don't want to feel that way.
Can we maybe take a break? Or you want to like write down what you feel about this or how you feel, you know, just whatever are tools in your toolbox to take care of that. And to do our best to always honor those positive interactions so that we're building our, I like how they say love maps, and understanding, you know, about our partner, and just really tuning in and flowing together when we are in just day to day, and being able to build that up so that we have an excellent rapport with one another, so that when something, you know, is needed to be shared or need to be expressed, it can be much more well received and a heart to heart instead of a turning away from.
So I guess what the tip for the day would be is to recognize either criticism, defensiveness, contempt, or stonewalling in your relationship, and talk to your partner outside of conflict. So don't wait till you're in conflict, but to even after you watch this video, have your partner watch it, and then you talk about how you guys handle conflict and how you guys interact together, and make sure that you head it off at the path, you know, before it becomes a full-on apocalypse. You know, catch those things and fix them early on, and it'll really help your relationship. So thanks, babe, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. Peace.
Bye.